If I had to choose between throwing hands with Captain America or throwing hands with Rhysand from Akatar in a world where I personally could physically fight them, I would really have to sit and think about it. I would still pick Rhysand, but God, this man, I have all of the smoke for Captain America. Actually, now that I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, my problems with Captain America and my problems with Rhysand from Akatar are one and the same. They really are. He has some very age inappropriate and icky romantic relationships with women that are way too young for him and or just are connected to him in a strange way. I love Emily Van Camp, and when I was getting reinvested back into the MCU watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was absolutely here for her turn as the power broker. But like, where is she? Is she still around? Did they just drop the ball on this? That's a whole other thing I gotta be upset about if they did drop the ball on it. But back to roasting Captain America. Why did he romance this woman? That's Peggy's niece. Why did you romance Peggy's niece? Ew! And speaking of Peggy, the fact that this man, his entire character arc and his whole trajectory is being like a man out of time and learning to reacclimate to the world, into a world that is more complex than the 40s is, and more nuanced, and him learning to grow into that world. Like, that was a really interesting storyline. And then Endgame just went, that's nice. And then he just went back in time to be with Peggy. Like, there's no consequences for pulling Captain America out of this world. There's literally none of that. It just happened. And it's so stupid. It was so stupid. And literally by the time we got to this plot point where Steve and Peggy are back together, I was just so fucking done with Endgame that this was just icing on the cake. And I was just like, I would physically fight this man. It's awful behavior. Which brings me to another similarity between Captain America and Rhysand that annoys me. There is no reason why these two couldn't have been gay. Absolutely none. Like, I wasn't a stucky girly, but like, I wasn't like a Tumblr stucky girly. I wasn't that involved with the MCU fandom, but I could see the logic of this. And I remember how angry the steggy girlies used to get about the stucky girlies because they had more screen time and honestly they had more chemistry. And it just reminds me of the missed opportunity that SJM left on the table, not making Tamlin and Rhysand exes. Like, it would have been so easy, and it would have made their journeys, like, it would have made their stories so much more nuanced and so much more interesting if they had been allowed to be exes. Because you're telling me these fucking Fae men, they're gonna go 500 years and, like, in their whole lives, 500 years, a drop in the bucket of their lives, and they're not gonna do anything even a little bit gay? Lies. I don't believe it. And I think the thing that just sucks about the Captain America Winter Soldier thing, I think even if they weren't gay, even if the stucky girlies were wrong, the Captain America Winter Soldier dynamic is one of the most interesting in the MCU, at least the first 10 years of the MCU. I have no idea what happened post Multiverse of Madness. But I think the thing is that the Winter Soldier is the linchpin of Steve's morality. I think MCU Steve Rogers, he has all these ideals, but he will throw them away immediately when it comes to Bucky Barnes. And I think if he had been allowed to be as unhinged about Bucky Barnes as the character clearly wanted to be, I think I would have less of a problem with Steve, because at that point, he's not the arbiter of morality. He is a normal guy trying to live up to the standards of his banner, the standards of his ideals that he was literally made to embody. Like, okay, so if I remember reading something or hearing something back in the day where it was DC heroes are DC Comics heroes, or the DC cinematic universe. The DC heroes are supposed to be embodiments of ideals. Like they're less people and more banners, so to speak. Like Superman speaks to like an ideal. Batman speaks to an ideal. I have all the smoke for Batman as well. Mary Sue motherfucker. But Marvel heroes, they're not so much ideals in that way. They are people. Like DC heroes are who like the reader might strive to want to be. Marvel heroes are who we were. Captain America has never, at least in the MCU, I don't know about the comics, I'm not a comic reader. Captain America, after a certain point, was never allowed to be fallible. And even when he did fallible things, the narrative, the MCU narrative always framed him as correct. Like the Civil War, he was framed as correct, even though he wasn't correct. Like this motherfucker is saying, oh, this isn't freedom, this is fear in Civil War. But at the same time, like you're kind of forgetting that other people live in this world besides the heroes. Like it absolutely makes sense that everyone is angry because of that time that a city got lifted up and it fell down, or like the Marvel heroes I think do, especially earlier on, they do a better job of keeping everything contained to a specific area. I remember Avengers 1, they made it a point to keep the action and the aliens within like a 5-block radius, so not all of New York City was entirely destroyed during the Chitauri thing with Loki. But after that, just no fucks were given anymore. And Captain America was wrong. There should be some level of oversight when it comes to a superhero situation, because you guys are all fallible people and you guys are going to make mistakes. It makes sense to have some sort of oversight. Maybe the oversight that SHIELD wanted or that the world governments wanted wasn't right, but some oversight is needed. I love her to death, but it was good that there was an entity around to stop her from continuing to brainwash a town. I can love her. I can defend her. She has never done anything wrong in her life, but it is good that she had people to stop her when she got out of hand. I draw the line at Multiverse of Madness, though. That was horrific what happened to her. I haven't done this since I went on like a half-hour rant about Rhysand that had to be split up into 3 parts. So Captain America sucks for a lot of reasons. It's mostly to do with his writing and the way that he's framed. I feel like I would like him a lot better if he was seen as fallible and there were points where he was framed as incorrect, but he never is. And now that he's left the story, he will always suck, which sucks,